An update on the future of Will Ospreay after he teased he could possibly join WWE upon the expiration of his contract with New Japan Pro Wrestling. Speaking of Ospreay, he's set for a huge match at Wrestle Kingdom 18 next year against Jon Moxley and David Finlay. Roman Reigns retains the Undisputed Universal Championship, defeating LA Knight at Crown Jewel. Logan Paul is the brand new United States Champion. Kairi Sane makes her return to WWE at Crown Jewel. Solo Sikoa dominates John Cena. The reason why Gunther was not on the show last night has been revealed. Sami Zayn gets involved by preventing a Money in the Bank cash-in after Seth Rollins had retained his World Heavyweight Championship at Crown Jewel. Jake the Snake Roberts has revealed his latest clients, showing a new faction on AEW Collision last night. Samoa Joe versus Keith Lee is set for the Ring of Honor World Television Championship next week on Dynamite. Cody Rhodes defeats Damien Priest at Crown Jewels. War Games is going to be returning at Survivor Series. Rhea Ripley retains her Women's World Championship, and Red Velvet is set for an AEW TV return after 9 months. Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. As always, there are plenty of news stories to get into in the world of professional wrestling. Let's get straight into it, starting off with Will Ospreay, an update on his future amid some teases by the Aerial Assassin about where he could end up next. Now, the status of IWGP United States Champion Will Ospreay has been the talk of the wrestling world recently, with his contract with New Japan Pro Wrestling set to expire in February of next year. Ospreay recently teased leaving New Japan during his promo ahead of his match with Shota Umino, with many believing that he will sign with All Elite Wrestling. However, Ospreay has teased a potential jump to WWE as recently as last night, when he and Seth Rollins had a back and forth on social media after Rollins' match at Crown Jewel. Ospreay retained his IWGP United States and United Kingdom championships against Shota. We'll get into what happened after that in just a second. But speaking on Wrestling Observer Radio, Dave Meltzer noted that WWE is, quote, absolutely in the picture for Ospreay signing when his contract expires on February 1st. Meltzer said, quote, when he first comes in, it's kind of like we're getting this Will Ospreay versus Moxley match ruined because they're doing a three-way with Finlay. Except that you've got to realize they've got to look out for their own business. You know, Ospreay is on the way out, and might be. He certainly teased WWE today because him and Seth Rollins tweeted back and forth. I would not say anything is definite with Ospreay, but people who think that it's a guarantee it's AEW, just put it this way, WWE is absolutely in the picture. I've said this before, but WWE is in the picture. AEW is in the picture. It's whoever's going to give him the best offer, he's going to go for both sides. It was reported previously that WWE may have plans for NXT Europe to build that all around Will Ospreay. Meanwhile, if he were to sign with AEW, possibly he wouldn't have to relocate to the United States, although with the NXT Europe plans, possibly that won't happen. Now, let me know your thoughts about this. Where do you think Will Ospreay is going to end up upon the expiration of his New Japan contract? Is there a chance he could stay with New Japan? Is he going to go to AEW, or could he possibly sign with WWE? Let me know your thoughts about that. I was speaking of Ospreay as well. As I mentioned, this big match is set for Wrestle Kingdom 18, and it's involving none other than Jon Moxley. Now, Moxley was in action on yesterday's New Japan Power Struggle event when he took on Great O'Khan. Now, Moxley and O'Khan's bout actually ended in a double countout before it was then restarted as a full count anywhere match, which Moxley won. The main event of the show, as I mentioned, saw Will Ospreay retain his IWGP United States and United Kingdom championships against Shota, of course that being Moxley's protege. After the match, Moxley confronted Ospreay, with Ospreay dropping the IWGP United States Championship on the floor, claiming he made the title irrelevant. Before Moxley and Ospreay could come to blows, Bullet Club leader David Finlay attacked both men, leaving them both laying, before he took a hammer to both the United States and United Kingdom championships. After the show, Ospreay revealed the three men will face off at Wrestle Kingdom 18 for a new or old championship. Some are suggesting it could be the return of the IWGP Intercontinental Championship bout, so we'll have to wait and see about that. But certainly, big bouts being selected and announced for Wrestle Kingdom 18, including Bryan Danielson versus Kazuchika Okada. That was announced yesterday as well. We covered that. Be sure to check out that video. Now, going back to Crown Jewel last night, of course, we covered this on the watch along and the post show. Be sure to check that out. Appreciate everyone that tuned in and joined me live. And Roman Reigns has once again successfully defended his undisputed WWE Universal Championship, this time against LA Knight. And it will come as no surprise that the Bloodline played a major role in the outcome of the Crown Jewel main event. Knight entered the ring to a massive pop from the audience in Riyadh, but was forced to patiently wait for the champion's lengthy walkout and the announcements from Byron Saxton, who was standing in for Samantha Irvin on Saturday. After a brief feeling-out process from both men, including an early flurry from Knight, Reigns began to dictate proceedings in his trademark methodical style, slamming his opponent into the steel steps at ringside to create distance and eventually started to wear down his challenger. The pair traded blows in the middle of the ring with dueling chants of yeah and boo from the Saudi audience before Knight nailed some of his high-octane offense for a couple of near falls. Reigns would counter the LA elbow with a Superman punch for a 2 count, but was unable to dodge it a second time after a top rope superplex allowed Knight to hit his signature maneuver, but it wasn't enough to get the job done. Down the home stretch, the other members of the Bloodline would become involved, allowing Reigns to hit a spear off the distraction from another close near fall, before Knight hit his patented BFT finisher to no avail as Jimmy Uso placed his cousin's foot on the bottom rope. The former tag team champion would find himself slammed through the announce desk due to his interference, but Reigns speared Knight through the barricade and once more hit another spear inside the ring to score the pinfall victory, continuing his historic reign with the title. Now, some interesting backstage notes and news about this. There was a particularly interesting note regarding the Roman Reigns versus LA Knight match. According to Fightful Select, Sean Ross Sapp has reported that Michael Hayes, who is typically the backstage producer for all Bloodline segments and matches, was not in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia for yesterday's event. Instead, Roman Reigns' successful title defense against LA Knight was produced by Chris Park, formerly known as Abyss in TNA Wrestling, and Shane Helms, also known as the Hurricane. Abyss was also on duty for the World Heavyweight Championship bout featuring Seth Rollins' title defense against Drew McIntyre as well. So, interesting note there, because Michael Hayes, the brain trust behind the Bloodline stuff in WWE is usually Michael Hayes, Paul Heyman, Roman Reigns, and Triple H, or previously Vince McMahon as well. So, there you go. What did you think about the finish of that match? Were you frustrated? Were you surprised? Was it expected? Let me know your thoughts, as always, in the comment section below. Now, Logan Paul is the brand new WWE United States Champion. Logan Paul has tasted victory for the first time in his pro wrestling career, should I say championship victory, that is, emerging victorious against Rey Mysterio at Crown Jewel to win the United States Championship. In a back-and-forth contest in Riyadh, the 28-year-old would enter the arena through the streets inside a dune car to take on the 2023 Hall of Famer before mouthing off at Mysterio in the early stages of the bout. Paul would use his size and power advantage throughout, but it was his opponent who was able to earn some near falls before the Maverick hit some of his patented offense, including a buckshot lariat and a top rope fall-away slam. He actually turned it into a moonsault as well. Despite some clunky moments, Paul retained and maintained his composure, including a scary moment where he seemingly saved Mysterio from an awkward landing. Possibly he could have broken his neck had Paul not saved him, before an unnamed member of his entourage came to ringside with brass knuckles. His attempts to help Paul cheat his way to victory were momentarily thwarted by Santos Escobar, but the LWO star would accidentally, or some would say purposefully, leave the foreign object on the ring apron as he chased the assailant away, allowing the heel to capitalize and nail Mysterio with the brass knuckles for the 3 count. Paul's title triumph comes in just his 5th traditional singles match inside of the squared circle and less than a month removed from his boxing victory over Dylan Dennis. So Logan Paul, the brand new United States champion. Now, last night also featured the return to WWE of Kairi Sane. Kairi Sane made her long-awaited return to WWE at Crown Jewel. The Pirate Princess surprisingly appeared to aid Io Sky in retaining her Women's Championship over Bianca Belair. Sane addressed the fans of Stardom back in October to announce that it could be the last time they would see her perform in the company, leading many to believe she was departing the promotion. Since then, multiple reports have emerged to say that she was indeed heading back to WWE, and it was recently indicated that she was listed on the internal roster and her return was imminent. Speculation turned to actualization during yesterday's event in Riyadh as Sane made a surprise appearance to help Sky. Delivering her patented flying elbow drop, it was the first time Sane had been seen inside of a WWE ring since she faced Bayley in July 2020, serving to add another crinkle to Damage Control's storyline of tension between the genius of the Sky and the role model. Sky and Zayn previously held trios gold when they wrestled together in Stardom in 2016, but are set to stand shoulder to shoulder for the first time in WWE. Similar to Sky, Zayn boasted reigns with both the Women's Tag Team and NXT Women's Championships before her departure in 2021. But they could be joined by more people in this potential budding faction in WWE. Now, as I mentioned, Zayn made her comeback, helping out Io Sky, and commentary brought up the fact that the last time we saw Zayn on WWE television was in July 2020, when an attack from Bayley and Sasha Banks, Mercedes Moné, who they didn't mention, wrote her off television. She actually remained under contract as an ambassador until December 2021, which is when she officially left before agreeing a deal to return several months ago. Another former WWE star is said to potentially be returning to the company, and that is Ospreay. Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful's Crown Jewel review show noted that WWE is, quote, working on bringing her back after she left earlier this year. She'd featured in NXT under the name Ospreay since 2021, with her last match being a loss to Mandy Rose in August 2022. Since leaving WWE, she's been wrestling in Japan, returning back to her Suri name for promotions such as Sendai Girls, All Japan Pro Wrestling, and others. It's worth mentioning that a couple of different reports have indicated that Sky and Kairi Sane won't be the only members of a potential new group that's in the process of being formed. Ospreay is not confirmed to be a part of that, but she certainly could be an option. PW Insider reported a few days ago that she was working on a deal to return to the US, but didn't specify WWE. So again, we could possibly see her being involved, we could not, but certainly it looks like this faction is going to receive more members. Who would you also like to see added to this group, and who do you think will be added to this group that at the moment includes Io Sky and Kairi Sane? Now, Solo Sikoa defeated John Cena, and commentary was suggesting it could be John Cena's final outing inside of the Squared Circle. Solo Sikoa destroyed John Cena at Crown Jewel, marking not only the biggest win of his career, but extending Cena's losing streak in singles action dating back to 2018. Cena has been a thorn in the side of the bloodline over recent months, with his current WWE run coming in the middle of Hollywood's SAG-AFTRA strike. He and LA Knight teamed together to take on Solo Sikoa and Jimmy Uso at Fastlane, securing the win to set up two singles matches during yesterday's events in Saudi Arabia. Knight, of course, took on Roman Reigns for the Universal Championship, while Cena looked to get back to winning ways in one-on-one action against Sikoa. However, the enforcer of the bloodline handed the 16-time world champion a lopsided loss after several Samoan spikes in a contest where Cena hardly looked to get going. Following the match, Cena soaked in the adulation of the Saudi crowd. It seems like the clock is ticking on how long he has left to wrestle, and yesterday's devastating loss could have direct implications on that fact. Now, it must be stressed, this was the last scheduled appearance of Cena's current run too, so it remains to be seen if indeed he's going to be coming back to WWE in the immediate future, or if it's going to be a bit further on down the line. Now, Cena, possibly, maybe, we don't know, could have maybe teased when he could be coming back or something like that. We'll have to wait and see. Now, following his loss against Solo Sikoa last night, Cena posted to his infamously cryptic Instagram account, where he doesn't post comments, he just posts random pictures, which sometimes do and don't have any kind of meaning. So last night, he uploaded a picture of David Beckham. Now, the picture in question was Beckham playing for French team Paris Saint-Germain, which some have taken a hint as to a potential appearance, others have taken it as a potential hint at retirement. Some have taken it as a potential return date because it could mean that he's returning at Backlash, because Backlash 2024 is reportedly being considered to take place in Paris, France. So some people are saying, well, it's Paris Saint-Germain, it's a French team, it's Paris, Cena's coming back in Paris at Backlash next year. But others have taken the image as Cena teasing his retirement, as the photo is said to be from Beckham's final match before his own retirement. Beckham did retire at PSG. So what do you think Cena means? Is it just a case of, again, getting people talking? Have we seen Cena's last match? How many more matches does he have left? Let me know your predictions about that. Gunther was not at Crown Jewel last night, but we now know why, and actually possibly he's not going to be doing any international shows for quite some time. At 512 days, Gunther is the longest reigning WWE Intercontinental Champion, a prominent fixture on the Raw brand, and one of the focal points of WWE programming since Triple H took over the creative reins from Vince McMahon. Even still, the Austrian wasn't booked for yesterday's Crown Jewel event in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. Now, the reason for this was pointed out in a profile piece written by the Australian news outlet Crone after speaking with him during WWE's German tour. He is supposedly forbidden from leaving and competing outside of the United States for the next 6 months due to, quote, strict residency regulations. Now, Gunther resides in Orlando, Florida, having moved full-time from Europe in early 2022. It's unclear exactly what particular regulations are preventing Gunther from traveling internationally. However, this will presumably preclude his involvement in February's Elimination Chamber event as well. However, some are suggesting this is part of the process to become a naturalized citizen in the United States. This might just be why that is the case. Now, in the same piece, Gunther said that this will at least ensure he spends more time with his wife, ex-wrestler Ginny, who he said he only spent 6 days with in October. Ginny wrestled on WWE's NXT UK brand like her husband, but retired earlier this year following a severe concussion. The pair married in May and had their ceremony at the Four Seasons Hotel in London, England. Gunther's current title reign passed the 500-day mark last month to eclipse the Honky Tonk Man's own 454 days as Intercontinental Champion, a record spanning over 30 years. He captured the title from Ricochet in June 2022 on an episode of SmackDown. He since had defenses against a myriad of WWE stars. However, those that are concerned that Gunther might not be able to attend the Bash in Berlin event next year, that looks like he will be available if he does sit out these 6 months of not traveling internationally, then he would be able to travel by the time next August rolls around. Now, going back to Crown Jewel last night, Seth Rollins, as I mentioned, is still the WWE World Heavyweight Champion, retaining the championship on the show. Seth Rollins has escaped with his World Heavyweight title by the barest of margins, toppling a fantastic Drew McIntyre performance to open the Crown Jewel event. After weeks of teases of a potential heel turn or alliance with the Judgment Day, both men played it straight down the middle to a hot crowd, at least at that point in Riyadh, with the majority of the audience behind the challenger. McIntyre dominated in the early stages of the match, using his size and strength advantage, but the champion managed to use his in-ring IQ and trademark counter offense to remain one step ahead. After kicking out of a couple of near falls, including from a future shock DDT, Rollins would stomp McIntyre's head into the mat, but the Scotsman kicked out. Moments later, McIntyre would hit the Claymore kick for an agonizingly close near fall before Rollins regained his composure to combine with a pedigree and a second stomp to earn the 3 count and continue his reign as the king of Monday Night Raw. This win on Saturday marked Rollins' 5th successful title defense on a premium live event, previously emerging victorious against the likes of Finn Balor and Shinsuke Nakamura after becoming the inaugural World Heavyweight Champion in Saudi Arabia at Night of Champions back in May. Now, after this match, it looked like we were going to get a possible Money in the Bank cash-in, but Sami Zayn prevented that from happening. As I mentioned, Seth Rollins retained the World Heavyweight Championship following Drew McIntyre's unsuccessful attempt at winning the gold. Damien Priest looks set to cash in his Money in the Bank contract on the weakened champion. Sami Zayn put a stop to that, however, emerging in a black hoodie to drive Priest into the ring post and make an escape with his briefcase. The Judgment Day as a faction has been embroiled in several feuds over recent months. While no one in the group had a scheduled interest in the WWE title match yesterday, Priest was always going to be lurking around the corner while holding the Money in the Bank briefcase, and Rhea Ripley had notably been keeping an eye on Drew McIntyre in recent weeks. Sami Zayn, meanwhile, has had it in for the group since he and Kevin Owens feuded with them and lost their undisputed tag team titles to Priest and Finn Balor, and sought retribution, of course, where he defeated JD McDonough on the kickoff show. Now, he doesn't appear to be finished with the group, though, proving Seth Rollins' only ally in Saudi Arabia and putting a stop to Priest's cashing attempts. Expect Senior Money in the Bank to retaliate on Raw tomorrow and certainly look to get back his briefcase that Sami Zayn stole during the show. Now, it wasn't just WWE that was active yesterday. Of course, we had the New Japan show, Power Struggle, but you also had AEW Collision on TNT later on in the evening. And Jake the Snake Roberts has revealed his latest clients and a new faction. After a loss against Darby Allin, one AEW star had new backup ready. After being ejected from ringside during a match between Darby Allin and the Murderhawk monster Lance Archer, Jake the Snake Roberts re-emerged. On the entrance ramp, the legend cut a promo and noted he wouldn't just bring one item of artillery to a fight and introduce more power behind him. Bringing out the Righteous as the new pair seemingly aligned with Archer, it looked like a new match could be on the horizon for Darby Allin and Sting. So, what are your thoughts on this faction? Do you think this is a good fit? After this distraction of having the Righteous come out, the Murderhawk Monster did hit the blackout on Darby Allin, so it looks like this feud is far from over at the moment. Now, we're going to be getting a big Ring of Honor World Television Championship match on Dynamite on Wednesday. During Saturday's episode of AEW Collision, Ring of Honor Television Champion Samoa Joe was interrupted by Keith Lee during an interview segment. It ended with the two deciding that on the November 8th edition of Dynamite, Joe will defend the title against Keith Lee in a singles match. Afterward, AEW CEO Tony Khan took to social media and announced the match was official. It's worth noting that the upcoming bout is the first singles match that Lee and Joe have had against each other. Up until now, the 2020 Men's Royal Rumble match in WWE is the only other bout that they've ever been a part of together. Joe is the longest reigning Ring of Honor World Television Champion in ROH history. He won the title after defeating New Japan star Minoru Suzuki on the April 13, 2022 episode of Dynamite. As of this recording, he has held the title for a total of 573 days. Since becoming champion, the Samoan Submission Machine has defended the title against the likes of Christopher Daniels, Trent Beretta, Juice Robinson, Dalton Castle, Shane Taylor, Colt Cabana, and most recently, Rhett Titus on the October 28 episode of AEW Collision. So that match set for Wednesday's Dynamite. Going back to Crown Jewel last night, Cody Rhodes defeated the aforementioned Damien Priest of the Judgment Day with a little help from his buddy Jey Uso. Rhodes was able to hit Priest with multiple crossroads to get the victory after Uso chased off other members of the Judgment Day. Priest came down to the ring without his Money in the Bank briefcase, as I mentioned, that was stolen by Sami Zayn earlier on in the evening. Priest initially came down to the ring alone, though the other Judgment Day members would make their presence known later. He wasted little time going after Rhodes, attacking him before the American Nightmare could even get his jacket off. Rhodes was able to get back to his feet and started off the match hot. At one point, Rhodes hit a suicide dive to the outside, getting Priest onto the Arabic announce desk, while Priest, though, was able to counter the crossroads into his own version of the move, the Reckoning, onto the table. Finn Balor came down the ramp and attempted to get into the ring, distracting the referee so JD McDonough could take out Rhodes. Rhodes was one to hit McDonough, however, but Priest almost pinned his opponent off the distraction. Dominic Mysterio came down the ramp with a chair. Uso then came to his aid, super kicking Mysterio, Balor, and McDonough, and chasing them off with the steel chair. The match continued and Rhodes hit a Cody cutter off the ropes, as well as another one off the top rope, but it took 3 back-to-back crossroads for Priest to go down for the 3 counts and Rhodes to walk out of Saudi Arabia victorious. So Cody Rhodes getting the win in that one. Now, an update on Survivor Series. War Games is indeed back. It's now confirmed. Chicago will be treated to one of the most chaotic matches in pro wrestling later this month, with WWE confirming the return of War Games for the second straight year at the Survivor Series Premium Live event. After being used on the NXT brand for many years, the company debuted the double ring steel cage battle last year, with the Bloodline emerging victorious against Kevin Owens, the Brawling Brutes, and Drew McIntyre in a dramatic main event. During the Crown Jewel event on Saturday, WWE ran a video package for their next major offering on November 25 and confirmed War Games would be involved on the card once again, with the same accompanying soundtrack, Black Sabbath's iconic War Pigs included throughout. While there's been no clear indication of the competitors at this stage, with the ongoing storyline between the Judgment Day and a litany of baby faces, including Cody Rhodes, Sami Zayn, Jey Uso on Raw each week, there is reason to believe that the promotion's hottest heel faction will be a part of that match, although certainly you never know, the Bloodline could get involved. They have an agreement with the Judgment Day, so certainly anything is possible. Speaking of the Judgment Day, Rhea Ripley is still the WWE Women's World Champion. After weeks of brawls between the 5 women involved, Rhea Ripley came out on top and retained her Women's World Championship at Crown Jewel. Ripley, Nia Jax, Raquel Rodriguez, Zoe Stark, and Shayna Baszler made the trip to Saudi Arabia to compete for the title, but the challengers couldn't get the job done, despite their best efforts in a match that was given plenty of time. Jax rolled out the ring as the bell rang, and Stark and Ripley started off the match hot. All of the women got their hits in throughout the bout, including a spot where Baszler had both Ripley and Rodriguez in a submission before putting Nia Jax in a Kirifuda clutch as well at the same time. The spot was broken up by Stark, with nobody tapping out. At one point, Rodriguez attempted to get Jax up to slam her, but the spot was broken up. After a much back and forth between all of the women, it was Ripley who ended the match, taking Stark to the top rope for a riptide, while Rodriguez attempted to pin Baszler on the mat beneath her. Ripley attempted hit the move on Stark on top of the 2 competitors, pinning all 3 of the women, with Baszler on the mat to retain her championship. So Rhea Ripley retains her Women's World Championship. Finally, Red Velvet is going to be back on AEW television after 9 months. Taking to Twitter, Tony Khan has confirmed the AEW star would be returning to action on this week's upcoming episode of Portland, Oregon. He writes, quote, "This Wednesday, November 8th, Portland, Oregon, the Moda Center, AEW Dynamite on TBS." Of course, the start time, as it always is, that being 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central Time. Red Velvet versus Julia Hart. Julia Hart returns to the ring for the first time in over a month, fighting Red Velvet, who is back wrestling for the first time in over 9 months this Wednesday on TBS. While Julia Hart has been out of action since her losing effort against TBS champion Chris Statlander at Wrestle Dream on pay-per-view, Red Velvet has been out due to injury, so Red Velvet indeed is back. But there you go, guys. This is the latest pro wrestling news for you. Be sure to smash a like and the like button. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. As always, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon.
Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.